In today's video, I will share with you the dark side of building a personal brand and how most people trying to build a personal brand get it wrong. I'll share the most important lessons I've learned building hundreds of personal brands for my clients and how you can too. So in the coaching, consulting, influencer space, people are taught to build a personal brand, very similar to how products are taught to build a certain brand. So think about Nike, think about Apple. These brands evoke a certain emotion. Maybe you think about Nike and you think about speed or power. You think about Apple, you think about design cohesiveness. You think about beauty, you think about simplicity. But at the very core of these brands is they evoke a certain feeling from you. And so according to Aristotle's method, someone will buy from you when they respect you, and your ethos, meaning who you are, your personality, what you stand for, your background, your story, your pathos, meaning the way people feel about you, and your logos, meaning the proof of concept and the fact that you have degrees and certifications and you know what you're talking about. Now, think about big brands in the world. They all have a strong ethos, they all have a strong pathos, and they all have strong logos. Logos would be how good the Nike shoe is, how well it fits you, the art support, performance, etc., etc. Pathos will be the way you feel about Nike, and ethos would be what Nike stands for. In case you were wondering, Nike is named after a Greek goddess. When modern-day experts enter the online market, first of all, they're confused. They don't know what to do. They've been doing well in the offline world, and they're taught that people need to know, like, and trust you. And therefore, you need to exhibit and you need to showcase your intelligence, your background, and how good you are at what you do. So most people often end up in the high authority building camp, meaning they're taught to build high authority online. What this looks like is appearing larger than life, is appearing like they've got everything figured out and they've got it all together. What this leads to is showcasing an overly exaggerated caricature version of who they would actually like to be. Because think about it, we all have insecurities. We're all insecure about something or the other. And then when we go online, we try to put our best foot forward, which may not necessarily be us all the time. And so we're showcasing this exaggerated and superior version of ourselves. On paper, this sounds amazing. On paper, you would think that if you saw someone wearing the right clothes, saying the right things, looking the part, speaking the part, you would buy from them. The problem that this comes when we go back to know, like, trust. And so they put this out there. Now let's go deeper into human psychology. When they put out a larger-than-life version of themselves, who do they attract? So they attract people that aspire to be like these people already are. If that is targeted, if that is by design, if you're selling something super low ticket and you want to sell to tons and tons and tons of people, think about the Mr. Beasts of the world, think about Prime Drink, think about Andrew Tate. High-profile celebrities selling low ticket or low-profile products for people to consume. It's a perfect fit. However, in the case of most coaches, consultants, and course creators, it is high ticket. So they attract low-ticket audience to a high-ticket offer, which then leads to a sales process that more or less looks either broken or absent, because these people genuinely cannot afford to buy. What they want to be attracting is people like them, just like them. But if you think about it long and hard, the people who already have the suits, who already fly business class, who already wear the expensive timepiece are not attracted to when a person is saying, hey, I've started flying business class, I'm so cool. Here's why. To the actual wealth, this looks like they just made it. So they position themselves as inferior to the prospect who actually has the money and has had it for a while, who can completely afford to work with the consultant. So it has a twofold effect where not only does it dramatically attract the people that cannot afford to work with the person, but it also dramatically repels the people who can afford to work it because they see it as newly acquired wealth, because there are levels of wealth. And the next problem they have is lack of relatability. A client of mine who's a hypnotherapist had been taught to come across as high authority and had been taught to create content that says you should, how to, so on and so forth, meaning positioning her as the subject matter expert. And she'd been doing this for years and no one was buying from her. Another client of mine who is also seen as high authority would create beautiful pieces of content, but nobody would want to buy. Everyone would hit on her, everyone would want to propose to her. She got lots of fans, no buyers. Why? These two clients weren't doing what successful personal brands like Jennifer Lawrence and Tom Holland do without even realizing it. Jennifer Lawrence is one of the actresses that gets on camera without any filters. She randomly got on stage and had no idea what to do, so she asked the media people, should I ask questions?
What do I do?
She casually burps in an interview. These are the things you would not expect an A-list Hollywood sex symbol actress to be showcasing. yet she does it. Let's take an example of Tom Holland. He's become so famous for giving away parts of the story and spoiling the Marvel franchise Spider-Man movies that he usually is accompanied by another actor, by a co-actor, to interviews to make sure that he doesn't give away what he isn't supposed to give away. He also often has no clue of the situation. He just got on stage and screamed, "I'm alive!" and the audience had no clue why. I'm alive! It was because of the Thanos snap. Now, what are Tom Holland and Jennifer Lawrence doing that make them so adorable to the audience? It is linked again to the way we market to people. Let me give you some bad examples of what not to do. A bad example would be Brie Larson, who comes across as being super full of herself. Look at this clip where for the first 70 seconds she continues to prove that she's bigger and better than everybody else.
For me, because I'm the strongest, so it's just kind of like a different...
Well, you should let her think that about you.
It's not. As I've said before, it's not. It's just a...
In another video, she's acting like she can't recall where and how she met Scarlett Johansson.
How did we meet? Dinner?
No!
Showcasing a superior social strata and authority. Another example of this is Armie Hammer from The Social Network, a guy who is generally seen as putting up an image in front of the media, and most people don't like him. Especially lately when abuse and cannibalism charges were brought up against him, he's tried really hard to change his image in the media. So what do Jennifer Lawrence and Tom Holland get right, and what do Brie Larson and Armie Hammer get wrong? It is called relatability and not being tone deaf. Jennifer Lawrence is highly relatable. The audience see a reflection of themselves in her. Tom Holland is highly relatable. The audience see a reflection of themselves in him. Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, and Blake Lively are not relatable. Audience cannot relate to them, and audience don't like the way they're coming across. Now, incorporating this back into what is taught to coaches, consultants, and influencers, the more they try to pedestalize themselves, the less relatable they become. Then that's the problem both my clients were having. They had people who really respected them. They had people who looked up to them, but no one would buy from them because people thought they were born this way. They had everything figured out, they never needed any help, and no matter how many times they say they worked on themselves, no one would believe them. Until we made changes in their content to start incorporating relatability in the right way, so their high-profile audience could see a reflection of themselves in these clients. So the lesson here is, if you're overcompensating in your branding, trying to appear larger than life, trying to appear very high authority, you run the risk of alienating your audience, you run the risk of polarizing and attracting lower to your audience, and you run the risk of repelling high to your audience. It's a very dangerous thing to do, and that's why it is usually advised against. The next lesson that comes from authority content, showcasing watches, showcasing clothes, showcasing photo shoots, is that if you showcase surface level wealth things, the only people you will attract are people that don't have that level of wealth. So you will attract people that aspire to be like you, but don't have the money to afford to work with you. And at the same time, you will repel the people who have the money to work with you, but don't like to relate with you because of what you're showing. Now, a lot of people are taught by their coaches to fake it till you make it. So you'll see a lot of people shouting at the top of their lungs about motivation and inspiration and how they need to go hard, although they haven't achieved much. So they're essentially faking it until they make it. You'll see other people pretending to have results. You'll see yet other people sort of not preaching what they practice, but instead preaching what they would like to practice. This is a human mechanism of not just overcompensation, meaning you don't like who you are, so you want to show who you'd like to be, and you keep showing that person in content, hoping you attract who you'd like to be to work with you, so you become who you'd like to be. It takes a while to wrap your head around it, but essentially that's happening. The problem with faking it till you make it is, if you go at it long enough, it creates massive dissonance within you. And that is why if you look around in the coaching consulting industry, in the influencer space, you will see lots and lots and lots of people going hard for 3 to 6 months and then announcing that their mental health has declined and they're quitting, or they'll put a spin on it and they'll say, well, taking a break, going to rediscover myself, so on and so forth. There is only so long that a person can continue lying to not just their audience, but themselves. Sooner or later, the audience catch on that this person really isn't coming from a place of truthfulness. Instead, this person is coming from a place of deceit. So the smart thing is never to start this to begin with. When we build brands, we don't create a persona. We take the persona that the person has, we look at their strengths and weaknesses, we amplify what makes them them, meaning their humanity, meaning their degrees, meaning their background, and turn that into a brand instead of inventing stories, inventing caricatures, appearing larger than life. If anything, we just embrace the person they are. Now, this doesn't come easy, and it doesn't come with its own set of challenges. My client, who was making overly pretty content, had a deep-seated desire to come across as being pretty because she had an ugly past that she didn't want to talk about. She didn't want to associate with that person of herself. My client, who was appearing as over-authority in her content, had a lifetime where she had to work very hard to build the authority to then consider herself worthy of serving other people. And these are personal demons people have to overcome. It's not easy to be completely and ruthlessly yourself on camera. And so the lesson here is, while we all have varying degrees of insecurity, the level to which you are willing to embrace yourself. I'm not saying air your dirty laundry on camera, but I'm saying be yourself. The level to which you're willing to do this is the level to which your audience will not just relate to you, but respect you, know you, like you, and trust you, because you're sharing parts of yourself that most people would be too ashamed to share. It's got to be done tastefully, it's got to be done in a classy way, but it's got to be done. The things that we are insecure about the most actually attract our audience the most towards us. I hope you learn from these mistakes. I hope this helps you avoid making these mistakes in your personal branding strategy. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which lesson was your favorite. I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.